Hi everyone. Have you ever dreamed of having your personalized AI powered chef providing recipe specifically based on your needs? Imagine merging the limitless power of AI with a seamless integration of no-code tools like Bubble and Xano. Today we are going to deep dive into the creation of AI chef recipe generator, and guess what? You don't need to be coding genius to build one. Over the next 30 minutes, we are going from initial concept to the final product. And if you ever feel the itch of building the one, and but you don't know where to start, this is your golden ticket. Yeah. So let's start. Okay. We are going to build this basically all the features. Like first the landing page we are going to build, then login sign up, then dashboard, then add recipe like CRUD operation for the recipe. Yeah, that's it. So first we are going to start with the landing page. So I already built one and I'm using Atomic Fusion to basically copy my older design and to leverage them. So if you don't know about Atomic Fusion, go check it out like atomicfusion.io, and basically it let you share your UI asset with anyone over the internet or like. So let's start. First we need a header. So we'll just copy that header and simply paste with the style. Yeah, header. So it has created as a, we will just drag that reusable header. Perfect. Yes, looking perfect. Now we need to have a hero section of that landing page. Again, we are going to use already pre-built. Just copy it. If you need this Atom Fusion asset, check out the description and all the asset link I will provide you there. You can access it in a one go. If you just click on preview. Yeah, that's looking perfect. Okay, we need to just change like this meat and this no translation. That's it. So what we do, just change it to meat. Basically, just remove it. Meat AI safe. And the second thing is also the same. Yes, our landing page kind of is created. And okay, we just make it like a layout max 1280 so that it won't looks very out of the place. Perfect. Now we are going to create a auth page basically. So first is login and then the sign up. Okay, again we will go to the Atom Fusion, just copy our first the sign up. I'm just first building out the UI part of it. Once our UI part is done, then we will going to write an API into the Xano from the scratch. Sign up, yes. That's it perfectly. That's a reusable, okay. And AI says we don't need to make any changes as such. Yeah, just this one. This should not have a background color simply. And then this one. This have a background color also. Or we can put a background color in complete. Now that mug not looking very good, just ignore it. Okay, now we need to create a group sign in. Same, we just copy it. Yeah, group login. Okay, just same, we have to remove that extra white color that is showing up. Now if you see, more or less looking perfect. Now we just need to merge them on a single page. So we will create a one auth page. Simply create it. Yeah, first we need to drag our group sign up. Oh, just delete it. First we need to set the responsiveness. Right now we will set as a column layout and then just drag the group sign up and then again set get the group login. Perfect. Okay, so that we are going to, so based on the URL parameter, so what we will do, we will just go to data. So this is the one practice that I normally follow. Put all the URL parameter in a single option set, so that whenever I need to refer it, I always refer from here only, so that everywhere my URL parameter name is always same. So OS, because this is option set, and then URL parameter. Okay, we have to just create a one URL parameter. Text. Now first one is login, sign up. That's the two thing. Login will have a login only, and then sign up will have a sign up. If you want to change your URL parameter, you can change it here. And in the auth, whenever my get parameter from auth, okay, I just need to check one thing. If we just preview it and then put a variable, I just need to check, like, I just always forget about how that get parameter get data from the page from path, how works. I always forget. I just need to check. Just give me a quickly 1 second. But this is very effective. If you, nothing is there, why? Okay, if I just put a auth and then, yeah, login is there. Okay, that's the thing we need to do it. So whenever it have a is, get an option, and we refer to sign up, and then URL parameter. Whenever the path have a URL sign up URL parameter, then we will show it sign up, otherwise we will not. And this element is visible, and then by default we just unload it, collapse when hidden, and max already set. We just need to make it center. Same we have to do it for login. Get data from page URL, path, and is get an option. Login we need to check for the login, then that's why we are picking login. URL parameter is value invisible, just hide. By default we are hiding it. Now more or less perfect. If we just come here, okay, in the URL we have a login, and then it works fine. Now we just, instead of login, we have a sign up. Yeah, oh, okay, perfect. We just need to make it as a center. It's already a center. Why it is not working? That's the question. So we can check it out here. We have not set its max width, so it is taking complete 1280, and then now it will work as a center perfectly. Yes, looking perfect. Our login and sign up page is done. Our landing page is done. Next we have to build a dashboard. Okay, for the dashboard we also going to just copy our design from the already built one. Dashboard copy, just simply click here and yes, dashboard, we just name it as a dashboard. Perfect. This is kind of dashboard it come out, and yeah, looks more or less, it have a past history, and then it's a new recipe also. We will hide it both of them right now. If you see here, okay, we are just, let me okay, on the header, whenever someone click on the login, it should go to the login page, and whenever someone click on the sign up page, it should go to the sign up page. Okay, first we need to go to header, click here, add parameter, and go to page, and that page is auth page, and then data to send is get an option and login URL parameter. That's what I was saying. Like, if you use the option set, you will never going to make a mistake related. Okay, you don't need to remember it. Okay, what is the URL parameter I have passed there, like out that page and everywhere. So that is the one cool thing. And now come back to the index. again this goes to for the sign up, and go to page index. It will be get an option, it will be sign up, and then URL parameter. That's it. If you just come here on the login page, if you click on login, it should open only the login page. Yes, it's working perfectly. Now if you just go back, if you click on sign up page, it's not, oh, we have choose the wrong, instead of index we need to pass the auth. Yeah, that's the mistake we have done. Just click on get started. Yeah, right now it's perfect. Now we need to create a one API into our Xano page that will take your name, email and password, and whenever someone click on sign up account, it will call that Xano API. So if you go in the Xano login, simply just xano.com, just click on this login page. If you are first time, go check it out in the description. I have shared my referral link, do use that. Click on login. If you have a new account, then that no workspace will be there. So we will create a new workspace. So treat workspace as a new app. Whenever you require a new app, you will have a new workspace. So whenever you click on this create a new space, just give it name. So in our case, we are going to name it like Chef, and I have not decided yet. No, I'm starting fresh with the Xano. Just click on this. Okay, this is asking for your tables. Right now we are going to just using a user table. Then we are going to have a one recipe table. Basically this will list all the recipes that a user is going to create it. And yeah, and then if you check this box, it will automatically create your CRUD API, like create, get all the user, create all the user, and or create all the recipes API that you don't need to think about it. So that's cool part with that. Simply delete it. We just need to two basically table, in which table user is going to have, and what is the authentication method. In our case, if you see, it's a simply email and password thing. So we'll just choose email. If you required for the social sign up like Google, LinkedIn, others, you just check box and it automatically set up for you. Yeah, create workspace. So if you come in the database section, you can see two tables are there. Perfect. And we will just make it duplicate. Go to the API section. If you come on this default, you can see auth have a 3 or like a, then recipe have a 5 APIs there. Like these are the recipe that already pre-built. You can customize it based on your need. This is the user table, like simply get and all. So what we are going to do, first we required it for the create an account, like sign up. So if you see here, sign up API is already created. That take name, email, password, and the same three things we are going to use it, and the same thing you required it, and automatically API is written is there. So let me just explain you what this API does, and that will help you to if you want to make customization. So all the three parameters are there. The first one will be get record from the user. Basically, it will first check whether this email exists or not. Then this precondition is there. If this user equal to null, so basically that means the user that we are returning from the DB, it's null. We are not able to find that particular user that have a same email ID. So we will give one error message. This account is already in use. Sorry, it's a no condition. Just think about it as a user not equal to null. Then this account is already in. Then we will create a new account because that email ID is not registered. So we need to register it with the same thing, email, password. And then we will create an authentic token. So you need to first understand if how this authentication system works. So what happened? Let me show you with the example. Let's suppose this is our front end and this is our back end. Just make it as a, okay, and this is our front Bubble API. Okay, and this is just assume this is our Xano. Okay, so user will enter email, password, and just imagine like this thing. It will check in the Xano. Okay, this email ID, password for the sign up case. This email password is exist or not. So Xano will check, okay, if it is exist, then it will give you the error based on here on the precondition. But if user is not exist, in your DB, in the Xano DB, then it will just create an account and create an authentication token. Authentication token basically means a unique token for that particular user. So in the next API, next whatever, like create, add recipe, create recipe, and all this API, that token will be passed into the header, and Xano will check, okay, this token is valid or not. So that is how user don't need to pass a username password to authenticate themselves every time in the API. Okay, so this function, if you just simply click on this plus and search is here, like authentication, this is the function that is right here. All the, you just need to search it here, every action that you need to do. Just create authentication token is there, and here you see that 86,400 is integer. So basically all this is the microsecond. So 86,400 is comes around 30 days. So this token will be live for the 30 days. And if you just want to keep it like every time, like this token should not be disabled for future case, you can simply put like a 0, and this authentication token will never expire. But I just want to expire it 686, so we'll just create a simply. So if you just simply run it here, you simply can run it and pass it like a, this is basically for testing thing. Anko test1 test.com, and then password test123. Simply can run it. Okay, if you see by default authentication comes with then password limit. So you need to have a like requirement of 8 character. If you want to keep it like that. But if you don't want to keep it, you can simply go to your user table, click here on password, click on setting. This minimum you can change it based on whatever you just want to. Let's suppose I just want to keep it like a 6. Okay. Now if you just again call it, now you can see like this is the authentication token that basically this API return it, so that you can use it for the future calls. Okay, by default we have made changes into the app, but they do not ship to the directly to the production. We need to click on this publish button. So let's suppose we just click on this publish, and if you come in here in the user table, you can see one record is added. So yeah, because we have already set. Now coming back to integrating this API basically to our front end, that is a Xano. Oh sorry, that is a Bubble app. So we will go sign up. So there is a one way of doing it using a API connector plugin that use for making API call, but there is another way, and there's a better way. So there is one more plugin. If you see Xano connector, just click on install. This is a plugin. So why we use this plugin and why this is the better, just for the quick record. Whenever you make an API call by the API connector, all the calls goes by the Bubble server. Like you call first from the client, then it goes to the Bubble server, then Bubble server calls it to third party, whichever it need to call, and then third party return to the Bubble, and then it comes to that Bubble, like you at a browser side, and this take a lot of time. But if you use the Xano connector plugin, all the calls happen directly from your browser to the Xano server. There is nothing Bubble in between, and all these calls happen at a client side. So your data will be exposed to the user. So if you don't want to expose your data to the user, you should make your API calls, you should use by the API connector. But most of the time we will fetch only the user information related to only that particular user. So we don't need to worry about that. Let's set up this Xano connector plugin. The first thing is API connector, API group URL. So what that? So if you go in your Xano, if you click on this back button, this is the group API call. It's better you keep all your API into this particular default group. But if you don't want to keep it, you can also create a different API group based on how you want to. But since we are using only this group, we'll just copy this base URL and paste it here, same into here. Since our dev and the production environment both are same, so we don't. And then comes a Xano data source. Okay, by default, if you depend upon the plan you have purchased into the Xano, by default for the free plan, if you have a free plan, Xano gives you only one data source, that is live. Right now we have. But if you on the new launch plan, that is $99 per month, and then scale plan and other plan, then you can manage the multiple data source. We can create a one more data source and then we can use it. But since we are going to test it, so we will keep it as a live only. Data source basically means you are using your data, your DB separately for debug, separate for the production. So that is the benefit of having a different data source. But we are keeping it one, since we just put live, we just copy it live, not live. Okay. Now this is a group URL. Again, we just need to copy it, paste it. Again, that data source, again, live. That's the only thing we need to do it. Perfect. First, we need to make an API calls. And this is auth API call. So for that, we need to search Xano auth function. Okay, we can use Xano or sign up, but since this plugin mentioned that is depreciated, so we'll see what else are there. So if you come here, the Xano pay now include new lesson that action can be used anywhere in the action without the need of Xano auth. The provided facility. So if you see here, okay, they have a new action, sign the Xano user up. So we don't need to use the Xano auth thing. We can remove it. Simply whenever click on this, set sign the user up. This is the simple thing. One thing you need to remember, we are using particular this sign the Xano user up only for the sign up. For the future API call, we are going to use a different way. How we will tell you in the future. First name, last name, and all this we need to pass it. Since we don't have any like a first name, last name, we simply have first name. So we'll pass input name, value, last name we'll just ignore, input email value, password, input password. Now that's the only thing we required it. Whenever the sign up API is perfectly done, or like we got a successful, we have to capture one event. Okay, for that we required a Xano auth. Okay, not on the reusable, we will just keep it as a. So basically this API, this action force you to sign up with the new account. But as soon as the sign up happen, we just want to move to the new page. So that's why we are going to write a logic. So if you can come here, index, auth page, we will do Xano auth, drag it, and then it expose element action that Xano auth is logged in. If the user is logged in, then go to the page dashboard. Perfect. Yeah, we don't need to pass any data. Now we will test our sign up, if it is working or not working, if it is having any error or not. Name is Ankur Bubble, so that we can check test2@test.com, and then password is test1234. Click on sign up. If you see, my dashboard is automatically changed and moved to the dashboard. And if you see in our database, a new user comes, but name is not there. So that is an issue that we need to fix it. We can quickly do it right now. Okay, so if you see here in our Xano sign up function, we have a parameter with the name. But if you come here and see in that, we are passing that function is first name and last name. So we need to make changes something there. So what we will do, simply make it as a first name, and we just ignore the last name, and we also need to make changes here. Name is first name, and we save it. We will just publish it. Okay, we just need to quickly create a one on that dashboard. We need to log out and then again check whether this new changes that we have made it is working or not. Simply go on dashboard, go to that sign out button, and then just add a workflow. Add workflow will be log the Xano user out. Simply go to logout. And one more thing, we need to put it like Xano auth, the same way we have done in the Xano auth page. Simply, basically, that means is that because when you drag that Xano auth onto the use that element, it exposes two element to action. Xano auth is logged in, sorry, logged out. We need logged out. Whenever Xano auth is logged out, basically we just move to the go to the page on the index. I hope you are understanding it, and if you have any question for that, comment your question. Click on dashboard. Yes, it will log out. It automatically goes to this. Now we again sign up. Now we will do like test 3, test 1 2 3 4. So if you see, we are like that action, basically this action is calling a parameter name underscore first and name underscore last. And but if you see in our API, we are catching for first underscore name. So we need to change it. Name is equal to first and save, and then make again changes here. Name first and just click on publish. Now come back to your again dashboard, just log out and then again sign up. Test5 @gmail.com, test 1 2 3 4. That's it. And if you come again here, now you can see my name have of test5. So we will just delete all the previous account. Okay, that's perfect. Now we need to write a API for the login, how to let your user log in. So if you come into Xano, that is already created for you, API that comes on this login API. Perfect. That takes email and password. And if you see in here, now it will just fetch your user email first in the database and then check the previous condition if it is exist or not. If it is not exist, it simply say invalid credential, and then it validate the password. So in Xano, password is stored as a hash, so that will check as a hash password, and you don't need to do anything. You just say, okay, this is the my table name, and that's it. It automatically do everything. Then precondition, again check like if password is not valid, again say invalid credential. If you want to pass any other error, you can do so. And again create a authentication token in case of the login. So we just need to go our Xano sign in login. Whenever someone click on this button, simply click on add, simply say log the Xano user in. Simply pass email, input email value, then pass input password value. That's it. And yes, it will automatically send you to the dashboard. So we will use test5 @gmail.com. So we'll pass test5 @gmail.com and then test 1 2. Perfect. It comes on the dashboard. So that means my email, my credentials are valid. One thing I just tell you, if you want to see which API your user triggered, so you can see everything here. Come on the dashboard, this dashboard, and click on here details. Your every API calls will be listed here with what is the input, what is the output, what is the response, and all this thing. So that is useful for debugging purpose. Now we are on the dashboard. First we need to create a recipe. That's the whole agenda, right? So first we work on the UI. Whenever someone click on this button, this new recipe UI should be visible. Perfect. So what we will simply say, we will use that by the URL parameter. How? Let me quickly show you. Again, go to our option set, come here, say new recipe. And set up its URL parameter to the new. Okay, and if you see, come here and then simply put it here, conditional. So this is UI for creating a recipe. So user will enter their ingredient and we are going to create its recipe. So first we need to show this UI. Right now if you see, there is no UI is there. But so whenever this user click on this button, what we will do, we'll just go to page, the same page, that dashboard page, and pass the parameter option set the new recipe, perfect, URL parameter. And whenever the URL parameter is there, then we will just come here, get data from the page URL, click on page, is the same way we have done in the auth. So an option and then see new sign up and then URL parameter, perfect. This element is visible. By default, this element is not visible. So, and whenever we are here, so that we just, whenever come click on this, our new generate recipe UI come out. And let me just give me one sec. Okay, but we by default this should be there, right? So what we will do, simply by default put a one more condition, or get data from the page URL, path is empty, no URL parameter is there into URL. So then also our by default UI recipe will become. Okay, now user will enter their ingredient like rice, veggies, everything like rice, chicken, and just click on generate recipe button, and we should use that open API calls and generate the recipe. For that we are going to write an API into the or Xano endpoint. Okay, now if you come here in the Xano, just go to API, API section, go to click on add API endpoint. Okay, it asks you do you want to create a like CRUD operation like CRUD create read delete. We don't want to, we just want to start from the scratch, because I just want to show you like how exactly all the API will create it. Check it as a post. Why post? Because we are taking some input from the user and then it is returning some input, so that kind of a post, and name it as a generate recipe. Okay, and authentication is user authentication, because we want to know which user have triggered and we don't want to guest to automatically generate our recipe. So we will create a save. Now if you see here, it says authentication required, but how will that authentication pass? I will tell you how. So this is the input parameter. Input basically means what all input that goes into that API. If you see here in the UI, we need user will enter all the ingredient and then we will send it to our API, and that going to be comma separated text. So we will simply come here and click in plus and choose the text parameter and name it as an ingredient. Save. Perfect. Now we need to make an API call to the OpenAI. So to make an API call, we need to first test something. Okay. Chat. So in order to use an OpenAPI, we need to pass a prompt to the OpenAI, and then it will give us me the detail. So the prompt that we are going to use is this: please provide a detailed recipe that includes a specific instruction and measurement for the cooking a dish using ingredient, and thus all ingredient will be provided to us by the user. So what we will do, simply test it first and see, yeah, that's perfect. This is what we required it. If you click on the view code and yeah, select the curl, automatically selected, just copy it. And this is like a third party API. We are just calling the third party API. And we come into the our Xano, come click here, click on this plus button, and we need to call a third party. Just choose this external API request and click on this import curl and just pasted our curl that we have copied and click on import. Now if you see, we need to make a couple of changes. If you want to change the model, you can change it, but I just want to keep it like this 3.5, and you can use other model like GPT-4 and all. I think GPT-4 will be much better. We will use GPT-4, not GPT-5. Update. So you can see GPT-4 is there. Now we need to change in the message because we need to pass this ingredient to this prompt. So if you come here and just go to the end, or you can just enlarge it and such as just delete it, save and add filter, combine to. So go to the text concrete value is ingredient, and what is the separator? Space will be separator, like what is the separator between these prompt and the ingredient. So that's it. Click on save. Yeah, now if you see, I already passed that prompt, and this is the ingredient we need to pass from the user. Temperature is 1 and everything is more or less perfect. Now we need to make changes into the authorization header. If you see here, we are not passing any API key, so we need to get OpenAI API. I already have, I just copy paste that. Okay, I just copy paste it here and click on update. That's it. And timeout we need to change it because OpenAI API call sometimes give you like it takes a lot of time to respond, so we will make it like 120 seconds and just click on save. That's it. And once we get a response from the OpenAI, we want to store into our recipe table. But if you go in our recipe table, nothing is there, no column is there, so we need to create a column. So first is, click here, first is ingredient. We will store what is the ingredient user has sent us. We can choose required, yes, we required it, otherwise we will not create it. And then single, yes, and you simply click on save. And then the recipe that user OpenAI generated. So yeah, it will going to be in text. So we will go generated recipe. Yes, simply click on yes. Okay. Now if you just come here and okay, now if you see, we in the our response we are sending it OpenAI 1. What is the API underscore 1 is the response that we get from the OpenAI. First we test it. We simply just choose the token and pass rice and chicken. Okay. If you just click on this run, if you see, this is the response OpenAI has sent to you, all this, but you don't need it all, right? So what you will do, you required it. The response that we are getting is a JSON response. So what we need to, like JSON, this response parameter, and then we have a result parameter. Perfect. So what we will do, create a variable that say output recipe. And now we first reference the response that is coming from the OpenAI. So that is the response that is coming on from the API. Click on add filter, then get basically used to get any key value from the JSON. So if you see here, we need first, this is a complete JSON. First we need a response parameter. So we will come here and then simply get response, and then yeah, default is, we will change the default empty object. If it is not there, empty object should be there. Inside the response, if you can see, we need this result. So again we will go get result, and then if it is not there, then default empty JSON object should be. Inside that result we need choices. Okay, but choice is an array. First we get it, then I will tell you choices, and then it's an array. Simply now in array, if you see, we require the first position of that array. So how that we will going to be, that is going to be first entry of the array. Just click on update. This is the first now get. Now we got this complete object. Inside that this object completely we get it. We don't need index, we don't need finish reason and all. We need message object. And then we will again go to then get, because we require object, then we pass its value, and then after that inside the message object we need content. Again we will go get, and that is content. That's it. Now if you see, we kind of get everything. Now we just need to print this. In order to print this, instead of printing this OpenAI response, we will print our newly created variable, that is output recipe. Click on save, and if you just rerun it, yeah, this is the response I got. But if you see, your text is cut off. So what you need to increase, if you see in the OpenAPI call, that value parameter max token is 256. 256 into 4, that is around 1000 character is returning. So we need to make it like 2200. Yeah, that is more than sufficient update. And also we need to update our model. Right now it's GPT 4, but we need 3.5. And if you see the view code and just copy that, because GPT-4 is taking too much time, and just simply save and click on rerun. Now if you see, it took a 12 second. Earlier it was 20 second, but right now it's 12 second, much faster for the GPT 3.5. And now no data is cutting off. So, and after that we need to save this response in our DB. So we will just create a plus, go to database request, add a record, and choose the table in which we need to add. Just click on recipe. Created now is perfect, ingredient is perfect, generated recipe will be the variable that we have created, like output recipe. This is the variable we are storing our OpenAI response in that. Just click on as, and that's it. That's we need. If you just click on rerun, now this OpenAI will be stored into our Xano DB. So if you see, go to our recipe, just refresh the page. Now ingredient is there, generated recipe is also there. Perfect. Now we will connect this API with our front end. Just first, before we need to publish it, just click on publish. Okay, whenever someone click on this generate recipe, we want to call that API. For that, just come here, Xano action. Always use an action. And okay, we need to move these. We need to store basically this in somewhere so that it do not attract like. So what we will use that one floating group, drag it somewhere, and make it as a bottom, and make it as a right, and beneath the page, like beside page, and drag all, make it as a all plugin, and we can floating group are always appear like a, and you can drag that here, drag that here. Okay, now we come on the all the plugin, and then layout is column, and it does not really matter because it will not show. Let me just quickly see if it is showing or not. Yeah, it's showing, but what we just make it as a no color, none, and also make it as a small, like a 20 width, and uncheck it. That's it. Now if you just simply go and refresh, this is there. Perfect. Now whenever someone click on this generate recipe, we need to make an API call. So if you come here and click on this, and one more thing, we have dragged that Xano auth. Oh man, we need to drag it here. Oh, you can't drag that floating group. Okay, in a Xano action, it asks for the data type. Basically, data type is basically what type of response this action will accept. So if you see here, this is the response, but you need to make a little bit changes and pass generated recipe. Okay, and if you rerun it, now if you see, just copy that thing, just click on this copy button, curl. Now go back to your Bubble, go to plugin, API connector, just create Xano custom response, and just click on expand. This is recipe. Okay, recipe, and you don't need to pass any URL. Just click on this, manually enter, and just paste that. Oh sorry, we just pasted a wrong. Click here again, click on this copy, and then paste it. Oh, this is not working. Why? Oh, we just need to click on this copy. Basically that is copying the curl command. That's it. And just click on save. It will ask you, yeah, this is perfect. Now if you see here, recipe, you just need to use. That's it. And now we will make a API call, Xano action, trigger Xano action. Yeah, if you come here and see, our API call is post call. So we'll make it as a post call. What is the endpoint? Endpoint is one is this one. Just copy this one and then custom parameter. That's it. And we need to pass a input. So that we will use a simple parameter. And if you come here and see, this is the input that we need to pass. Just pass ingredient, and from where it will get a value. It will get as a value of input ingredient. Okay. And just pass value here, input ingredients value. Perfect. Now we need to wait for it response. If you see here in the element action, there is a one thing called Xano action return a response. So whenever it return a response, we need to show that. So how? If you just click on this, group output will be there. So what we will say, whenever response come, show an element output, group output. So this element will be visible, and again we need to show that ingredient. So what we will show, Xano action return thing generated recipe. That's it. And also if this API gives you an error, we need to show one error. So go again, element Xano action return a error, and we will show one standard error, recipe not able to generate. Perfect. Title is recipe. Perfect. So if you one more thing we need to do is like publish this API, because one changes is pending out. So if you see, whenever user click on this button, it will call the API. This API, we forget to pass. We just pass it at the wrong place. The endpoint should go here, not in the custom parameter. Custom parameter used when you have a like custom response, like JSON response you need to pass or something like that. But it's in our case a plain simple, so we will use that simple parameter. And we got a response. It will come here, and we will show that. If it is error, we will come here and we will show the error alert. Now left, right. Okay, one more thing. If you remember, we have put an authentication required, but we know like for authentication required, we need to pass that authentication token. Like this way we are just passing out here. But why don't we are passing into that Xano action? That's the beauty of this plugin. You don't need to pass. It will automatically store authentication whenever do like sign up and login into our local storage, and always take from that from there always. So you have to no worry about it. Okay. Now we will pass something here. So all the food item that I have is rice. I have some bread. I have some chole and green salad. And when we click on this generate recipe, API is happening. It's happening. Yeah. Now you can see this is the response it come out. Perfect. And let me just make it into the center so that it look much better. And max should be 500 max, and that should be in the center. Yes, look, then it much better. This is one thing, and we just need to add the loader also. We will just go with plugin and say loader. We'll just take any loader, animated loader, and it have a bouncing loader. We will just use that bouncing loader and put here the left. Yes, into the center, and we can change. No, we just need to. We can't do anything much or less. Okay, so we by default this will be unhide and collapse when hidden. But whenever someone click on this button, we will show that, and then bouncing loader, and we will hide it. Copy, hide it whenever it get a response. Perfect. And also we need to check whether it's coming on our DB. If you see here, it comes into our DB like this one. This is what we pass. This is recipe chole with rice, bread and all. Now that is perfect. We have a list of recipe that's particular this user has generated, but we need to show the list. How? We will show all the list into this left bar. So I already have a repeating group there. Sidebar, this one. Main links, yes, repeating group order. We need to create a one recipe list API that will give us a list of recipes. But if you remember, when we are creating a new recipe database item, it automatically create a CRUD API for us. So if you go here and check this API. And if you just click on run, it gives me us all the list of the recipe. But here's the catch: we need for the logged in user, and for logged in user we required it as a authentication. So what we will go, just click here, setting. Instead of a disable, just make a user authentication. Save. Perfect. Now if you just click here, and also we need to just make a changes, custom query. We required only that user data. Okay, the one mistake that we have done is all the recipes are not assigning for the particular user. So we will create a one more column, says the table reference, because we need to reference our user table. Click on user and we will assign it to the that user. We will assign it only to so that we can test it properly. And now we need to make a one changes here. If you see, just refresh this page. Whenever we are querying, we need to create a custom query, and that is user ID equal to auth. We remember auth and equal to auth ID, and save, and click on save. And if you just run it, and this is a token already taken from the test file, and simply click on run. If you see, only 2 response will come, not all 3 response. Only 2 response are coming out. That's what we needed. And again, we will just click copy that, go to our bubble, again go to the plugin, because we need to again call that API. Again we will say add, say recipe list. Okay, again we will enter manually, paste it there one. But now instead of pasting the both, we just need to paste one object. So we will just remove the one extra one, copy that complete JSON formatter. That is a much better. And I can delete it. This I need to delete this one. We need to delete one object, and don't forget to delete the comma also. And then now copy that, because in the bubble we just need to tell them it's an array and this is the object. We don't need to repeat ourselves. And click on save, and click, this is ID should be the number, created date should be date, and all these are the text and all. Yeah, save. And also here it returning us a user ID, and we don't need it. So what we can do, go to customize, click on this query parameter, click on output, and we can customize the output we wanted. We don't need it, we just simply ignore it, simply save it, simply publish it. And the same way we have to remove it our from the API response, and just delete it here. Just click on save. Perfect. Yes, perfect. Now again, to get the API response here, we need to use that Xano query, or we can get a Xano get action. So if you see here in our, this is the get API call, and that gives you the return a list of data. So what we need to Xano get, and again we will put that into there only. And data is recipe list. Oh sorry, not Xano get, we need to use Xano query. This is always a confusing for me. It's a Xano query. And yes, first we need to recipe list. Endpoint will be our, if you go here, just copy this endpoint recipe and just put a fresh. Load data, auto refresh data, yes, perfectly, both we wanted. Group URL, if you want to put a group URL, if you have a specific not with the default one, you can put, if you are not using the default one, you can put here. But if you don't want to put it, it automatically comes from your setting, and we don't need to pass any parameter. We do simply, that's it. And we will reference it here, like on our repeating group on here, and instead of order we just delete, and we will say Xano. Oh, we will just remove that also, clear selection, Xano query. And instead of Xano query, just name it as a proper, like a, and also data, and that's it. And we should name it proper, Xano query recipe list, so that we know why we have added that. We will just make it as proper, just data current cell recipe list, then in that group parent, yes, I can leave it the text we should wants to show only the ingredient. I think that makes sense. And if you just refresh the data now, instead of this random data that I'm just using, it will only have this 2. Perfect. And we just want to limit it to certain text. So what we will do, ingredient, truncate to maximum 50 word, 50 character. I think that will more than sufficient. Not even 50, even I just need to make it 25. Yes, to make it as a 25 only, or just make it 20. More than sufficient. Yes, more than sufficient. And just pass here 3 dot, so that you know much other data is also available. That's how we will set up a list of our data, right? Now whenever we click on this list of data, it should appear here, like what the ingredient I have passed, what is the thing we have passed. So what we will do, we already have a UI for that past recipe that we already have. Okay, now we will, this is the in data, and now if you see, just click on Xano get. Now we will use this Xano get. And what is the, now we have a list of the recipe, but we want more detail of that particular recipe. Whenever you select that particular recipe, how we will do that, we will use that ID thing. So if you come here and see recipe table, if you see here, this ID is there. We leverage that and again query our Xano API and generate all the data for particular recipe. How we will do that? Simply use that. Okay, first we need to create an API. I think, but we already have an API similar. If you just click here, duplicate. If you see, this is the get API we already have. This is the record we need to pass, and if we pass 1, it will just give us a result of this. Okay, now what we need to, how to call that? Simply use this endpoint. Endpoint is this one. Copy that endpoint. Our response is same like our repeating list. We need to change it here. I will tell you why. Plugin and API connector. One more. One recipe. Man, I'm just very bad with the naming thing. And just copy that response that we pasted here, and then simply click on save, make it as a number, make it as a date, text, that's it. And now come here and just on that Xano, sorry, not this, we need a Xano get. Yeah, recipe, one recipe, because we need a return. Pass the record ID will be here. So record ID will be, so we will create a one custom state here, and that have a recipe ID, that is always be a number. Perfect. And whenever someone pass that, we will reference it here in dashboard recipe ID. Perfect. We are not passing any parameter or something like that. So whenever someone click on this, whenever someone click on this, we will create a set the state. We will store that response ID, recipe ID. So it's a current cell recipe list ID. That's it. And we are going to show this basically list. So for that, we will use again the URL parameter. So if you see here, recipe, make it as a details. Okay, let's create a recipe, modify and recipe details. Perfect. Click on save, come here, like then go to page. On that page index, recipe. Okay, we need to get an option, and that is a recipe detail. Perfect. And then URL parameter that's required. We have already said that recipe ID, then we have a page index, URL parameter, and we need to write a logic here. Whenever get data from path is an option, is recipe detail URL parameter, then show that UI. So this is the UI to show a particular data, like particular recipe list, and we will just make it a little bit modify and make it 60, 100, and also make it as a like a 500. That will width of maximum width would be 500, not 720, so that it will match. Now that is perfect. Okay, Now we will come here and then see if it is working or not. So when we click on this rice bread, oh, we have passed the wrong URL parameter, wrong page, not a URL. So if you see index.dex, we should go to the dashboard and just click on login. We need to make it again login. It should automatically redirect me to the our login page, but it is not. We need to log in test5@gmail.com and then test1234, and it should redirect me to the dashboard. Yes, and now whenever I click on this rice second ingredient, it should fetch all the data, but we forget to reference it. Yes, it should be Xano get data ingredient, and this should be Xano get data generated recipe. Again we will do it. Now just click on this. If you click on this, right click inspect, now here it say invalid, failed. If you see something is failed, man, we will just delete it and make the API call again. Yes, 404 is coming out. So if you see, oh, we have made a one mistake. If you go to the Xano get, this is a dynamic parameter, and the dynamic parameter we are passing from here, so we don't need to like statically pass that value. So we'll just refresh it, just delete everything. Now we just click again, and if you see 3, but it's a 4. Okay, not found. We are making again an API call. Oh, we just pass it to the, we have added, we forget to remove that. Again we will do it, refresh it. This basically network API help you to debug this, what exactly the API is happening, why it is getting failed and everything. Just click here, we'll see now all the data comes out. Perfect. Now we just need to make it much better, definitely, and we need to just put up more padding here. 32, 32, 32, 32. Now if you just again refresh it, just click on this, and much better, much better, much better. Okay, now if you just click another one, this will come here. So now we have created the recipe, get the list of the recipe. Perfect. I hope that makes sense for you. And we just need to make now, so the user, whoever is logged in. So what we will do, we already have a Xano auth. We will reference it directly here, good morning. And we will simply say Xano auth first name, but I don't think that will work out. I know why it will not work out. It should say, if you go in our DB, and it should say test5. It's not. Why? If you go to that Xano auth, we are not passing any custom response, so we need to pass the custom response. Again the same, if you come into your API endpoint and come on this, basically it calls this Xano auth me basically, and just simply just run it, just copy it, and come here, plugin, again set up this. I hope now you are pro. Add another API call Xano user, save and make it as a number, make it as a date, and everything looks perfect. And then now just reference it here, user, Xano user. Now if we just simply come here and say custom response name, now it's so. Okay, I hope you are able to understand it. What we have done is, all the feature that we have done is landing page creation, login, sign up, dashboard, add recipe, list recipe, delete and edit. It's a homework for you. You do it, delete and recipe. If you have any issue, just let me know. And this fairly going to be quick. So edit and let me know.